if you're looking to get stronger on the rowing machine, here's why you should deadlift to try to gain strength to get better at rowing. So here's why you should deadlift, how to deadlift, and then also how to incorporate deadlifting into your rowing workouts. First, here's why you should deadlift. So the biggest reason you should deadlift is that it's a functional movement. So what that means is it very much so mimics picking something up from the ground and putting it back down. That can help you in all parts of your everyday life, so it's really important to be able to strengthen those muscles, to be able to pick up and put things down properly. Now, in regards to rowing, there's a couple things that deadlift helps us with. First, hamstring strength. So deadlift uses a lot of our hamstrings, and since we want a powerful leg drive, while we're keeping those shoulders in front of those hips, that uses a lot of our hamstrings. So increasing our hamstring strength is going to help us row faster with more power on our drive, decreasing those splits. So hamstring strength. Another thing that it does is it gets us practice bracing with our lats, and that's exactly what we want to do when we row. So when we start our drive, we want to keep those shoulders in front of our hips. And so we got to do that by bracing with our lats. We do a similar thing when we deadlift because we don't want our back to round when we deadlift, and we also don't want our back to round when we row. So it's the same muscle that we use there too. Deadlifting also builds strength in our back and in our core, so that just helps this whole part of our body be able to brace well on the drive to be able to take that added strength from our legs. So there's a couple reasons why you should want to deadlift in addition to your rowing workout regimen. Now here's how to deadlift. So first, before I get started, keep in mind you don't have to use a barbell when you deadlift. It can be 2 kettlebells, it can be just odd objects in your home that's something heavier for you to pick up. You can use a lot of different objects here. It does not have to be a barbell. But if we are using a barbell, we're going to approach it pretty closely. So the bar right now is just above where I tie my shoes. So now those hands are going to be outside of my shoulders just a little bit, and then I'm going to bring my butt down in between my knees and my shoulders, and I'm looking down at the ground. Now, before I start to lift, I'm going to brace with my lats. I'm going to push the floor away. My hips and shoulders are going to rise together as I keep the bar close and stand up fully at the top. Now, on the way down, those hips are going to go back first. And then after I pass the knees, I lower with my legs. That's in order to also be able to keep that back nice and straight throughout the movement, keeping the bar nice and close, like so. Here's the same thing just from the side view. So when I set up, that bar is going to be about the middle of my feet. I know it's hard to see my feet right now because they're behind the plates. But also when I set up, notice my shoulders are slightly in front of that bar. I'm going to brace with those lats, keep it close as I stand, hips back, then lower with the legs. And that is how you do a deadlift. Lastly, here's a little bit on how to incorporate the deadlift into your rowing workout regimen. So I highly suggest that you find a strength program that uses deadlifts in it. So you'd probably strength train maybe a couple of times a week on the off days where you're not rowing. So to find a strength program, you want to find one that's progressive. So it gets a little bit heavier, a little bit harder based on like sets, reps, the total volume, the weight that you use slowly gets harder over time. Because if you always do the same sets and reps at the same weight, you're not going to get stronger. So find a progressive training plan, but also be able to find a coach in whatever capacity that is that works for you. Because you want to make sure that somebody's watching your form to make sure that you're doing it properly, especially as you try to get into heavier and harder weights. You want to make sure that you're moving well, that you're not going to hurt your back or anything like that, and you're not going to also overtrain yourself and increase your risk for injury. So find a progressive plan, find a coach to work with you, because the amount of sets and reps that you do is going to depend on your goals. For instance, if you want to just gain strength, those lower rep ranges from like 1 to 5 will be what you might want to focus on, versus if you're focusing on like a 10K or a half marathon row that you're training for, then your strength training is going to want to complement that more, and that might be lighter weight at higher reps. But again, finding a strength program that matches your goals is going to help you there. So find a program that works for you, incorporate that strength training a couple days a week. You can also use different types of deadlift exercises to mix it up a little bit. If they incorporate accessory lifts into the program, which they should, things like Romanian deadlifts, called RDLs. Single leg RDLs are also movements that can strengthen your hamstrings and bracing with those lats and that core, and kind of get all those same benefits out of it. So there are a couple of reasons and how you can incorporate deadlifting into your rowing workouts. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the tips today, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I can't wait to see you at the next video.